Welcome to some yoga to help us when we're walking and also jogging or doing some light running. So this second part is focusing more on the actual poses that we can use that would benefit and help us in those activities, and giving you some of the basics as far as awareness of when you get into the poses and mainly how really functionally we need to get towards the poses. Always consider that it's really what I call the journey towards the pose. It's really more important how your body gets there rather than what we're trying to achieve at the very end, rather than looking at what we see maybe in yoga magazines or on different videos, trying to emulate and get to those places where some people just seem as flexible as a noodle. For one, I'm not there, never will be, never can be, so I'm not going to try to be. I'm just going to accept and do what my body allows me to. And over time, many of us will find out that just being gentle and doing less, we actually can achieve more from our bodies. So let's get into some of the basic poses. Let's see if I can make sure we're oriented properly here. Okay. So first, let's start on our back. Just be comfortably on our back. And make sure you've kind of calmed your mind, let go of many thoughts so you can really become more self-aware as far as what you're feeling in your body. The way to do that is to also release all that stuff that's going on in our minds around us. So some of the twists, or the basic twist we employ or use, is by just elevating our knees up and just letting the legs fall, the knees together fall across our body as we let our arms drop to the opposite side, and just a very gentle turn of your head. Now, again, we're only moving the head or turning it to where it's easy. You don't have to try to get it to completely look over in that direction, especially if it creates any bit of tension in the neck or jaw. Nice twist of the spine. Hold here for a bit. Take some nice, easy breaths. Again, you're also welcome to pause the video anytime if you just want to hold and just kind of come into the moment and just let your body go a little longer. So we come up, knees together, drop other side, arms across, head turn. Again, I'm just moving my arms because it's okay and easy within my body. Turning my head, it just seems looking this side, it's a little easier because I have a little tightness going on in my neck recently. Probably watching too much videos, spending too much time at the computer. Again, a breath, the easy natural breath is one of the many signs of our bodies that gives us feedback. So if we're keeping with our normal breath, we're probably close to where we should be, and we're not doing any forcing, pushing, or holding. So we just slowly come out of that twist of our spine. Another nice pose that we can do on our back is bridge pose. Sometimes it's nice to start with a couple flowing bridges, where as we inhale, we just lift the hips, pelvis up, and a nice release and let everything gently and softly totally come down to our mat. So we raise up, exhale, lower. Again, respecting our bodies, what we feel. So we're not trying to go as high as we can, but just staying where it's easy. And then we can get to a point where we can then hold our bridge pose. Now there's options we can do with our hands. You can rest them on your pelvis or hips. You can rest them to your side, kind of help to elevate slightly more. Others will be able to slide those hands and arms underneath our back, where we would interlace our fingers, which then allows us to give just a slight expansion across the chest as we lift up. Again, being very easy, holding, breathing, aware of what we feel. Our bridge pose. So as we release out of bridge pose, the pelvis, back come down to the mat. We just let our body settle in. Here you can just do a few of these lower back stretches. Sometimes it's nice to kind of keep those ankles nice and mobile by just kind of rotating your feet around and doing a little bit of reverse rotation of your feet and your ankles. Okay, so coming up on our mat, we're going to proceed to go on to all fours. Now when I get up to all fours, I almost always like to just actually throw in a few cat and cow poses. Cat and cow kind of gives me some feedback, or give you some feedback of just kind of how your body's feeling, how that spine's moving. There's a little more movement here going on in our hips, just like we did in bridge pose. And there's a little bit of rotation going on in our shoulders. So coming up out of our all fours, let's go on to into sort of a easy lunge position. Here the back of my foot, this back is on the mat. This foot is out front with the knee over ankle. And when we stay up nice and tall, we're getting a nice stretch through our hips here. You bring your hands to your heart center here. Put your fingers underneath your chin. Now we're keeping this leg what I call active, so we're not just kind of hanging it out here. When I say active, it's sort of like if you put your hand on the outside of your leg and gently, not forcefully, press into it, that leg is kind of staying active in a way. So let's go into a twist here in this lunge position. I'm going to use your oblique abdominals. Nose aligned with fingertips. Nice slight exhale. Using those obliques to kind of twist over towards the side. Again, stay nice and soft in your shoulders. We're not trying to over twist. We're trying to keep that pelvis stable so it's not twisting that. We're really getting that twisting motion in our spine. Slowly come back. So put my hands down, come back to all fours. Then we're just going to walk them over to the other side, step out with that other foot, top of the back foot resting on our mat, knee over ankle, tall Tadasana spine I like to refer to. Nice kind of reaching up to the crown of her head. It's like a little marionette string is just pulling gently up. Leg is active. And then proceeding into the twist with a nice soft exhale. Again, it's not how fast, how far we go, but where it's just easy to bring our bodies into that twist of our spine. Now, if we do get to a point where we can externally take our arms out away from the body, we're just again reaching out from the shoulder. The motion here is just to get these shoulder blades, the scapula, just kind of gently moving away from the spine. So we're not trying to get these hands back because if you feel this shoulder blades, what's happening there is then they're moving, scrunching into the spine. You can stay easy. And we exhale back. Hands down, step back down to all fours. Now, from all fours, it's a nice way to then progress and move into the next pose, downward dog. I like to keep our hands roughly shoulder width apart. Spread our fingers out nice and wide so we're using the hands effectively. Begin to push into the fingertips, push away. Lift hips upward, toes curl under. Feet are roughly hip width apart. Now when we get into down dog, I like to refer to keeping the knees soft so we're not locking them up. But also here, we can get into that nice stretch of our lower calf, the Achilles tendon area. We can work through the feet. So again, helping us keep those feet, lower leg, conditioned in many ways. So gentle pulse. You can actually just let the heel press downward and hold there for a few seconds, and then just switch sides. And then from our downward dog, we'll just simply walk up, take ourselves into a nice, easy, surrendered forward fold. And just kind of walk those hands up our legs. I like to walk my hands up the legs rather than quickly kind of come to standing, especially if we've been on our back a while so we don't kind of get dizzy into that head. So come up to standing. Now standing here, of course, we become more self-aware again of the feet in contact with the mat. Once in a while, see if your mind can go and sense the 3 points of your foot touching the mat. Or when you're walking, jogging, are you aware of how those 3 points of your foot are being used or feeling them? Ball of our foot, base of our pinky toe, center of our heel. Soft knees, soft hips, Tadasana. Nice long spine. We're not shooting our chest outward, we're just coming to Tadasana. Because there's a little movement of our arms when we walk and jog. We don't want to be carrying tension in the shoulders. So nice shoulder rolls would help. Shoulders up, just lightly, back and down, away. Up, back, and down. So the next pose, coming out of from Tadasana, let's just take our bodies into what we call goddess pose. Goddess pose, toes out, knees soft, hands at heart center. And lower body is active, meaning the legs are being used. Fingertips on the back of our thighs, lightly pressing into it. Goddess pose. From goddess pose, if you want to go further, just to kind of feel how your body, you can throw in a couple sunflowers that we've done once in a while. Again, only moving where it's easy. You can kind of lean forward with your Tadasana spine. Goddess pose. So another common pose that we use is just kind of runner's pose. It's where we use the wall. It's again where we get a nice stretch through the lower calf, through our feet. Feet on our mat. Feet on those tripods, in fact. So you just kind of want to walk your feet away from the wall just to where it feels right for you. For some people with tight calves, maybe they're not going to be very far away, but that's okay. Again, one of the things we do is, of course, is accept what our bodies will easily do rather than forcing again. We don't want to get there. So another good pose here is what we call standing pigeon. Now that's going to give it a little stretch into the hips. For easy purposes, I'm going to throw a chair here to make it easy. Now, being at home, don't feel bashful, nobody's watching. You can grab a chair. Now in standing pigeon, just like any pose where we move the legs, we don't want to get this shift, hip moving, twisting. We just want to let the legs be the mover. We don't want, and also, it's better not to have to go down and force or use your hands and arms to lift the legs up. So they just go to where they can. Now in the standing pigeon, we then begin to sit back. Be careful on your knees. Sit back where you can. It's actually a balance pose, so it's full standing pigeon without the assist of our chair will get us into this position. So don't feel bad about using that chair to help, especially when you're at home. Do it at home a number of times. By the time you get back into class, you'll be probably where you close to where you want to be, or closer. Again, here we're keeping our Tadasana spine, staying nice and soft through the jaw, through the shoulders. So we come back out, just kind of settle in before switching sides. It's kind of like the process that we use to get to tree pose, where the weight begins to shift into one leg. We begin to kind of sit back, going towards chair pose, elevate that leg, cross it over, and then just sit back. I find that my hips are a little bit tighter today, and as well as those hamstrings, so I did go for a nice little jog this morning. So this is, in a way, giving me some time to get into a nice stretch of those hips. Sit back. Hands can come across. Now, if we get this shaking going on in the lower body, that's another sign of feedback from our bodies asking us to maybe do something a little easier. Don't feel bashful about going easy. Standing pigeon. So another pose, since we have this chair handy, is stretching of our quadriceps, what we call dancer's pose. Now, dancer's pose is a balance pose. Unfortunately, I didn't bring my strap today. We could put it underneath the foot, or because I have a little knee issue, I can't go too far. Again, I'm using this chair to help. We're not trying to get this leg all wonky here. We're just bringing this leg up to get a nice stretch through those quadriceps. Dancer pose, when we get fully into dancer pose, there's this movement of our pelvis on this hip joint as we begin to lean forward. Again, it's a balance pose. So using the chair here again is okay. As we slowly release out, give our bodies a chance to kind of settle in. And then we just simply switch sides. Again, no hip shifting, twisting, leg movement only in hip and at the knee joint. Use chair, extend outward. Again, think of this pelvis moving on the head of the femur. Nice stretch into those quadriceps. Extend out. That's getting us towards full dancer pose. Maybe in one of the other videos, when I remember to bring my strap, I'll demonstrate with the strap. So let's come out, come back, just kind of settle in. So one of the other poses we want to do are side bends. Just think, if these ribs and our torso was kind of condensed in, it's going to be harder to breathe, especially when we're walking at a fast pace or doing some light running or jogging, want to be able to breathe efficiently. So if we're standing, let's take one leg over and back, not shifting weight. Well, trying to keep the weight evenly between both feet. And just a nice side bend. Side bends, again, full arm can extend up. Hand could go on the side of our head. If that's challenging to your shoulder joint, just go to a side bend. Just breathe and feel. Again, be aware of what's going on, what you're feeling within and throughout your body. Yes, we're opening up here through the rib cage, but also what do you feel in your back? Is it tightness or tension? You need to do a little less. Something going on in the shoulder. You don't have to have that full arm up. Remember, it's always the journey towards your pose. Come out of your side bend, come back, maybe a couple shoulder rolls. Take that opposite leg and back, cross over. Feet on tripods. Weight still even between our legs and feet. Arm up. Full arm extension. A lot of times our breathing kind of helps our body settle in. So that longer exhale breath gives more of a calming effect throughout and within our bodies. So again, do what I call self-explore. See the difference it makes. Feel what difference it makes. Slowly come out, cross, come back to Tadasana. Feel what it's like to be here. Couple shoulder rolls. Okay, so what I've given you are some of the basic poses that can help your running practice, or when you're walking or using your legs a lot. Think of it that way. You can also put all this together into a full yoga practice, add Shavasana at the end. So a lot of different things to explore, to consider, to kind of use. A lot of different ways to get into twists, side bends, allow our torso to kind of settle in. Again, when we get to places where we're thinking and focusing on our upper body, think of not pushing that chest outward or kind of tucking in, but just staying aware, self-aware of how you feel. So that's part 2 of our yoga for walkers, light runners. Hope it helps. Hope you take it to another level. Have a great day.